welcome to Dose of Wonder. I'm Caitlin, your guide on this journey through mindfulness, mental health, grief, and personal growth. Each episode will dive into honest explorations and gentle reflections to help you find moments of calm, clarity, and a little bit of wonder too. So grab your favorite cozy spot, take a deep breath, and let's get started. Hi there. I'm so glad you're here. I want to start today with a bit of a confession about my phone. For a long time, I had this specific wallpaper on my lock screen. It was one of those beautiful deep space galaxy shots, all purples and deep navies. And in a very delicate white font, it said, "We are all interconnected." I loved it. It felt sophisticated. It felt spiritual. But if I'm being completely honest with you, and with myself, it was just decor. It lived in that part of my brain where I store nice ideas that I don't actually know how to use. It was nebulous, a bit airy-fairy. It was a cool concept to nod along to, but it wasn't something I could grab onto when I was having a genuinely difficult day. But a few weeks ago, that changed. I was listening to a series on the 10% with Dan Harris app. They were doing this 5-part deep dive with the Dalai Lama. Now, usually when you tune into something like that, you expect these profound, sweeping spiritual statements about the nature of the cosmos. And they were covering the big stuff: wholeheartedness, compassion, the works. But then during a Q&A session, someone in the audience asked a question that was just incredibly real. They asked very directly, "How do you cope with genuine, crushing grief?" I remember bracing myself for a long intellectual answer about the transience of self, or the nature of suffering. But what I heard, and what completely shifted my perspective, was the beautiful, blunt simplicity of his reply. The Dalai Lama basically said, "You are never alone, and you can always ask others for help." That was it. It hit me that he wasn't just offering kind words. He was offering the ultimate practical application of oneness. He was talking about interconnectedness, not as a galaxy background vibe, but as a set of instructions for emotional survival. If we are all truly connected, if we are part of one giant interconnected web, then asking for help isn't a weakness. It's not a burden that you're placing on someone else. It's just you drawing on an energy that's already there. You're finally activating a mechanism that is already available to you as part of the system. But here's the thing. If the advice is that simple, just ask for help, why is it one of the hardest things for us to do when we're hurting? We know, logically, that we have friends and family, but when we struggle, our instinct is so often to pull back, to isolate. We try to handle it alone because we value this modern idea of independence so much that it actually cuts us off from our own support system. We get trapped in this internal monologue of self-doubt. We dramatically, and I mean dramatically, overestimate how people will respond if we ask for help. We jump straight to the worst case scenario. I'll be bothering them, or they won't really care, or the big one, I don't want to be a burden. But that assumption, it's almost never true. Think about it. If a friend comes to you for help, how do you actually feel? You feel honored. You feel needed. You feel a sense of purpose. Yet when we are the ones in pain, we assume everyone else will have the complete opposite reaction. We build a concrete psychological barrier that stops us from accessing the very connection that oneness promises is always there. The reality is that we are social beings. We are, at our core, wired to help each other. It's not just a nice idea. It's an active biological drive. We have empathy, sympathy, and compassion built into our DNA because the survival of our species depended on it. Our brains actually reward us for helping. And this is where we can bring in a bit of hard science to ground the philosophy. You've probably heard the phrase, "neurons that fire together, wire together." It was first used by the neuropsychologist Donald Hebb back in 1949. He was describing how the brain paves faster, stronger pathways the more we use them. I've started looking at our relationships through that same lens. Our connections aren't static things. They are living, adapting pathways that need activation to stay strong. When you're struggling and you manage to get over that hurdle, when you actually reach out and ask for help, you are firing that neuron. You are activating that connection. And in doing that, you are making that support pathway easier to access for the next time, both for you and for the person you reached out to. Every time you ask for help, you aren't just helping yourself, you're building communal resilience. You're giving someone else the opportunity to engage their own essential wiring for compassion. You're turning a vague, airy-fairy idea of oneness into a real functional system where the more you use it, the stronger it gets. So this realization changed everything for me. Interconnectedness moved from being a passive truth, like that wallpaper on my phone, to being a tool. It's a functional, immediate reminder that support is literally a phone call away. It's my permission slip to stop trying to be a closed circuit, because the entire infrastructure for support is already in place. We just have to use it. I want to leave you with a thought today. We often focus on the big picture version of oneness, how our actions impact the planet or global systems. And that's important. But what if we started smaller? What if we began to intentionally act on the truth that we are never alone? What would happen if we stopped apologizing for needing each other and started treating our connections as the essential life-saving mechanisms they are? Maybe it's time to fire that neuron. Reach out to someone today, not because you've earned their time, but because you are part of the same web. And that's it for this week. Next week, I'll be getting back into the thick of mental health with an episode on why it's okay to not be okay. Until then, thanks for listening, and don't forget to live with a dose of wonder.